My name is Jordan Henry. I'm a father who moved to Glendale for the public schools, which had a great reputation. In my professional life, I'm a landscape architect, a licensed landscape architect. I oversee construction at the Los Angeles airport for everything in the public right-of-way. I'm deeply familiar with the way government works from the inside, the inefficiencies and the efficiencies. In terms of educational experience, I have spent many hours, both in school and outside, so at the graduate level, reading through educational theory. It was part of my educational background, and also studying the curriculum and the frameworks that we have here in Glendale. In terms of conflicts of interest, I don't believe I have any. So I don't foresee that being an issue. Thank you. In terms of a positive culture of trust in the community, there are thousands of parents in this district who do not feel like they can trust the district. I will represent those parents and make sure that lines of communication are completely open. Mental health is very important. However, it cannot come at the expense of academic achievement and preparing students for the technical knowledge that they need for the 21st century, which is going to be remarkably competitive. And right now we're seeing a deficit in our budget for the first time in years under the current board's watch, and I intend to have better fiscal responsibility. The role of education, especially a government entity that provides education, is to remain neutral and to protect the inalienable equal rights of each individual, regardless of any immutable characteristic or chosen characteristic. When we talk about culturally relevant curriculum, it is the role of the school board to know exactly where that comes from. And in large part, it's coming from very radical ideologies that we need to be very explicit about, because the government or the public deserves transparency about what this curriculum actually is. We also need to define equity and how it relates to equality. Are these two words synonymous, or is there a different meaning with equity? And in terms of protected class, that does include religion. So you may have people, students or teachers, who fundamentally disagree with the path that the school is taking. And we have to respect all people, all individuals, and their inalienable God-given rights. As I stated before, religion is a protected class. We absolutely have to respect the citizens of Glendale, the students who may disagree with the decisions being made at the state level or locally by individuals on our own board. Parents should always be included in the conversation when it comes to their children's education, especially about the privacy of their child. The child does not have the same privacy protections that adults do. Children are the dependents, the legal dependents of the parents. So if a child, let's say, changes name, gender, pronouns, the parent should always be included in that. And currently, our current school board and union adamantly want to suppress that information from from children's own parents. This is an absolute invasion of their privacy, which is in Article 1, Section 1 of the state constitution. Now, when it comes to curriculum, it's incredibly important to make sure, obviously, that we cover a wide array of topics that are required by the state for their standards. We have to meet the standards that the state sets. However, it's up to the local authorities, the school board here, to determine how that is done, how that's accomplished in a way that actually does protect and respect the private beliefs of each school, of each parent and child. This is absolutely crucial if we expect to have a culture of trust in our schools, which our current board claims to value. We absolutely need to work with our parents, with other students and teachers to make sure everybody is represented. And I mean everybody, especially those who may disagree with the direction that the State Board of Education is going. In terms of the LCAP, within that document, there's the Superintendent's Parent Advisory Council. In that, they produced a survey that was distributed to the entire district. Only 11% of parents actually contributed to that survey, which is a minuscule amount. From that data, they then decided that their interventions, their educational interventions, the current board, would be justified based on an 11% response rate. So this is an extreme problem that needs to be addressed. When parents have gotten involved, I mean, just recently over the summer, we had thousands of parents show up here. They were ignored, actually ridiculed, and that's an extreme problem that needs to be addressed. The schools need to be very transparent with parents. As I stated before, they're concealing information about certain students, their private gender identity, down to a 6-year-old. And that Kelly King has explicitly stated that has occurred in Glendale, and only sometimes parents are informed. Respect. We all deserve respect, but we all have to earn it as well. And when our school board doesn't listen to the parents, doesn't listen to community members, the taxpayers, the constituents they claim to represent, you're going to get frustrated people. This is America. We have the right to dissent, adamantly, passionately. There is absolutely no right to commit violence, physical violence, which I absolutely condemn and will forever condemn. However, to be politically active and to dissent from the decisions made by a government entity is absolutely within the right of any parent, of any taxpayer within this district. And it's protected by your inalienable relationship with your Creator. If you don't believe that, you need to go and read the Constitution again, because it's absolutely essential to our role in this representative democracy. So I encourage dissent, civil dissent. I'm concerned that politicians who get on the school board want to protect their own reputation over actually serving the community. So on the school board, I promise that I will hold myself accountable to make sure that you are best served. In terms of transparency and making sure that we communicate during a disaster, we recently had a man arrested for pedophilic actions, abuse, and parents were not informed that he continued to work at the district for 5 years after he was under investigation in 2018 for very similar charges. This is an emergency that is not discussed and was not disclosed to parents. Healthy children start at home. It starts with how they're raised by their parents in their house, and I understand that not every child has that same support as others. But teachers, administrators, even the janitor is around the child enough to understand that something may be going on. And so we need to have very clear lines of communication with the parent, with the student, and with the teacher. That's so important to maintain that balance. And I fear that too many parents are beginning to distrust the schools, distrust the people who are around their child 8 hours a day. In terms of mental health and how the schools can actually support students, we need to be very surgical in the way that we approach this. It can't be a broad brush application of a policy or an intervention such as social emotional learning. I think there is obviously a role to be played, but not every child needs that. Not every child will require a psychologist, nor should every child not have the opportunity to have that. It takes a very specified and individualized approach to really address these issues. And parents should always be involved in that, because we're dealing with a very impressionable mind. And you have no idea what an adult could tell a child that could influence them for years and years to come. This is a very delicate thing that trained professionals who respect their authority and don't abuse it are entrusted with our children. I am running for the school board obviously because I have children and I care deeply about education, their education. It's my top priority as a father. It's my duty to make sure they are prepared for a future that is both successful and fulfilling. I guarantee every parent, even if they disagree with me on other issues, agrees with me on that. And that is the unification that we should all embrace as parents within Glendale who want better education for our kids. But this is a public school where the government has to be transparent. It is their obligation to be so. So we need more trust on the school board. And I really genuinely question how that's achievable, considering other candidates have been endorsed by the teachers union, which has actively undermined parental input. The current school board, they've worked with Senator Anthony Portantino, for instance, to author, the GTA did, and the current school board actually supported it, SB 596, known as the Parent Silencing Bill. They actively want to make it more difficult for parents to speak. They reduce the acceptance for speaking cards and cut it off at 5 p.m. Most people are still working then. They reduce the number of minutes that you can speak at school board meetings. We need to encourage as much community and parental involvement as possible 100% of the time if we're going to build a culture of trust for academic excellence. The man sitting to my left here, Telly C., I don't think that he is necessarily a trustworthy individual. There was an article out today in Beverly Hills. I'm going to speak directly to his record and as it relates to education.
You may not attack a fellow candidate, sir.
No, not personally. Not personally, you said. Okay. Not personally. No, I'm sorry, it's not. I'm sorry. Can I please get my time back? I think I had 30 seconds.
You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. There was an article today published at in Beverly Hills Weekly which indicates that he allegedly misappropriated $7,400 from the teachers union there for his own personal expenses. And we need to vet people. We need to really look at their actions and hold them to account. Not just their endorsement or the fact that the school board wants them on there, or people that you supposedly trust. You need to think for yourselves. Let's get back to basics. Let's look at the system and fix it for parents and students.
Mr. C., you will have an extra minute in addition to your 2 because you are permitted to respond as well as make any other closing statement.